What's the deal? It's your boy, Mr. Will. And you are now tuned in to Wilson Block of Thou Wow, okay? And look, I gotta go on here and talk about, some of the court's weak links, okay? Let's talk about some of the court's weakest links, okay? That that helped expose, okay, the chain of command and helped me, deconstruct their process and reverse engineer affirmative litigation. Okay, all outside of the courtroom completely. Okay, I I managed to extract updated court materials despite being denied effective counsel, despite being denied access to the courts. Okay, and I've been leveraging digital media, email and sort, okay, faxes and stuff. Okay, they're not going to be able to keep this illusion up for much longer. Okay, it's a shell proceeding in People versus Michael Taylor, and we got to bring that to light. Okay, now the weak link that I want to talk about here is Judicial Assistant Mery Alaberkyan. Okay, the judicial assistant under Judge Ronald Owen Kay in Hollywood Court that filed a fabricated competency assessment that was never authorized by a judge. Okay, the court was not counting on me identifying Miss Alaberkyan. Okay, this was probably something that caused internal panic because I'm sure the judges, gave her, some type of confidence that she would be okay and she wouldn't get in trouble. And oh no, you're getting in trouble. Okay, Mery Alaberkyan, you're in trouble. Okay, there's nothing the judges can do to protect you from legal liability here. Okay, criminal and or civil. Okay, you did it because you were under duress, and I get it. I mean, I don't know what fashion you did it, whether you were apprehensive or whether they pressured you and convinced you because you guys all share the same fraternity. Okay, that's a conflict of interest with the Constitution. We got to get rid of it. Okay, but I really want to talk about how, okay, I identified Miss Alaberkyan. Okay, first off, you got to understand that where the court went wrong with me, okay, is they just underestimated me. Okay, I didn't underestimate them at all. Okay, in fact, I gave them a chance and an opportunity to correct their record. Okay, and instead, they're doubling down on why, I don't deserve rights. Okay, it's crazy. Here we are in 2025, still fighting for basic due process and informed consent. Imagine that. Imagine somebody gives you a cup to drink, okay, and compels you to drink it without telling you what's inside. Okay, that's evil. Okay, why would you want to force somebody to drink something that they're not aware of what it is? Okay, but anyway, um, you know, I'm a courier, okay, and that means that I pay attention to details. Okay, that's what my business requires. Okay, to pay close attention to details. Okay, if you don't pay close attention to details, you were supposed to be at 50th Street Southwest, but you ended up at 50th Street Northwest. Why? Because you didn't pay attention to the deets. Okay, and so I just say that to say that in the course of these legal proceedings in People versus Michael Taylor, I was paying attention. Okay? It's just that simple. Okay? I didn't do nothing miraculous here, but just pay attention, hold everybody to their duties, and stood on that principle. Okay? That's it. Okay? Now, I got access to the competency assessment that was orchestrated by Daroca Bell and Dr. Pietro D'Angelo. Okay, and when I got hold of that document, I noticed the file stamp. Okay, the file stamp was on there showing that it was filed, and then the deputy clerk who authorized it. Okay, you had the executive clerk David W. Slayton, his name was on there. And then you had Mery Alaberkyan's name on there, okay? Well, I did some research on Mery Alaberkyan, and I came across an article on the LAist, okay, the Southern California, what is it, Pacific Radio or something like that, public radio, uh, a derivative of that, okay? They did an article on Judge K, and they even, did an, a paraphrased article or interview with Mery Alaberkyan, okay, who says she aspires to be like the judge that Ronald K is, okay, and God forbid that, okay, if you want to be a judge that selectively, prejudices, indigent defendants with mental illnesses, okay, I mean that's not something that I would say is that should be aspirational, okay, but that article on LAist basically is, the is what helped me identify that Alaberkyan was not a Pasadena court clerk, okay? And that matters because the assessment originated in Pasadena and it was addressed to a Pasadena judge. So why was it filed in Hollywood after the transfer from Pasadena? Come on, Mary, you can answer this question, okay? Why did you file a competency assessment that not only didn't originate in your court building, but was not, you know, but was not ordered by the judge in your court building, okay? And Southwestern Law School, we gotta bust them up, okay? They gotta be broken up. There's just too much deep state administrative stuff going on, and we gotta throw some sand in the gears here, okay? We gotta stop what they think they're getting away with, okay? Because as we speak, my brothers, you know what I'm saying, are in prison and stuck in mental institutions, based on weaponized psychiatry, okay, from the Superior Court of California. They're not getting away with it. Okay, now, they can holler at me and we can mitigate in good faith. If not, okay, then I intend to take this all the way to the end, okay? It's all or nothing. Either I will win and they will lose, or, they may, get their chance to destroy me again, which is not going to happen because I'm divinely protected, okay? Covered by the blood of Jesus Christ, okay? And, I'm on the side of truth, and they're not. Okay, and that's how you know what's going on here, okay? But anyway, I just wanted to put it on the record that Mery Alaberkyan, okay, because they trying to protect her, okay? And I know that if I just, push enough and air it out enough, that she's the weak link, okay? She's going to pop, okay? She's not getting away. The judges aren't getting away. The clerks aren't getting away. The doctors aren't getting away. And these crooked lawyers are not getting away. Okay, now I went to Mery Alaberkyan's LinkedIn page, okay, and I studied her employment and education background, okay, and what did I do? I went to the school she attended, it being, Loyola and UC Berkeley and Antelope Valley College. Got their emails to their top officials, put them all in a nice, lovely email, and sent them all a notice that, hey, your former, love bug, okay, Mery Alaberkyan, okay, is out here committing judicial fraud, okay? What's going on, okay? So that's what it is, you know what I'm saying? We got to air this out slowly but surely, you know what I'm saying? I need to be doing more podcasts more often to make sure this is, brought to the light, you know what I'm saying? And that's what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy, Mr. Will. That's the deal. Stick around. It's getting hot in here. I'm out.